Welcome to another episode of the Common Man's Take on Sports with Kevin and
Quentin.
all right. Something a lot's been happening since we last recorded, so let's cover some NHL. Let's talk about what's happening in the National Hockey League. So, the some of the teams that were pulling away are still pulling away. The Las Vegas Knights still look really good. They're still pretty much killing their competition. The LA Kings look pretty good. They're still winning. The Hockey League's starting to shape up. There's some teams that are really starting to really pull away and really set themselves apart. The Bruins are 12-1-2. The Rangers are 11-2-1, and the Panthers are 11-5-1. They're all starting to pull away from the competition there in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I agree with you. Boston Bruins look really good this year.
Yeah, they do.
12-1. That's a great start to the season. New York Rangers look really good too. I think they're gonna have a good season this year. Florida Panthers, they're looking really good too. Last year they made the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
But they got stopped by the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Yep.
And I think that the Florida Panthers are going to be a really good team this year.
Yeah, they look really good.
Yeah.
I've caught a few of their games. Like they look legit for sure. They got a really good team.
Yep, I agree with you. They have a really good team, and I think that they'll have a great season this year, just like last season.
Yep. And the Western Conference, you got the Golden Knights, of course, 13-3-2. The Canucks, who are 12-4-1. The Dallas Stars, who are 11-3-1. All three of those have started separating themselves from the pack. You have the LA Kings, who are 9-3-3, so they're right in there. But the top three teams are kind of starting to separate themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. Vegas Golden Knights looking really good after last season's Stanley Cup win, and I think the Vegas Golden Knights right now, season ended right now. I think the Vegas Golden Knights would be the favorites to win the Stanley Cup.
Probably.
Because they're looking really good.
I know they got a lot of games left to play, but yeah, I can't argue with you there. They definitely look as good as they did last year, if not maybe a little better.
Yeah, the Canucks looking really good this year. I think they'll have a good season. But anything can happen. Yep. But the Canucks are looking really good.
I think the LA Kings are in there. I've watched some of their games as well. They look pretty good. I think they could do some damage in the playoffs for how they look right now. We'll see, as the season goes along, but I know they're 9-3-3, but they look pretty good also, I think, out of the Western Conference.
I agree with you. LA Kings looking really good this year. I think they'll have a good year this year. Because their start to the season is pretty good. So, I can't argue with you. LA Kings looking really good.
We'll see how that shapes off as it goes forward. There's several games tonight. We'll cover tomorrow. But the National Hockey League is definitely in full swing now. They are looking good. I'm excited. I don't get to catch all the games, but I've enjoyed some of the games I've gotten to see already. I've gotten to watch the Boston Bruins. I agree with you. They definitely look outstanding this year. Look like for the way they look right now, they're looking at another repeat appearance in the Stanley Cup as they keep playing the way they are. They definitely look like the class of the East, for sure. I'm not arguing there. And then obviously the Golden Knights at this point in the season look like they're on their way to a return to the Stanley Cup and maybe a back-to-back Stanley Cup wins. Just right now, obviously a lot can change. There's a whole lot of season left. They're not even at the halfway point yet, but that's just what the way they look right now. They're really starting. Those two teams are really starting to separate themselves from everybody else.
Yeah, I really do agree with you. You know, Boston Bruins and the Golden Knights. I really agree with you. They're starting to separate themselves from the rest of their conference. And well, yeah, I agree with you. I think they're really separating themselves right now. With this start of the season, you know, great start.
Yep. I know you wanted to talk a little NBA, so let's transition a bit there. So I know they're playing the in-season tournament right now. The Lakers are 3-0, which is surprising to me because they haven't really been playing that great. They are 7-6 on the season, but then again, they had a rough start to the season last year. Kind of struggled all the way up to the end and snuck their way into the playoffs. And then they fought their way to the conference championships. Just because they're having a rough go of it right now doesn't mean they can't turn things around.
Yeah.
I know I told you when we kind of did our preview that I wasn't a fan of some of the moves they made, like bringing back D'Angelo Russell. He is a liability on defense, in my personal opinion, just based off what I got a Lakers fan, so I watch their games, as many as I can watch. I just think defensively he's a liability, and they really needed somebody who could play some offense and defense. But we'll see what happens going forward. One of the things that struck me this year is that I think we talked about it on another podcast. I still don't think that Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, or Devin Booker have all played in the same game together yet.
Oh, no, I don't think so either. I gotta check that.
The answer to that question is no. Booker is back playing with Durant, but they still do not have Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal has been out, so they are still playing without all three of their stars together.
Yeah, that's.
Excuse me.
You gotta. If you want to be a great team, you gotta have all your stars playing. I mean, you said, they haven't. You know, Devin Booker has played a game with Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal has played a game with Kevin Durant. They have not all played together. That might affect them going into the NBA in-season tournament.
Yep. I mean, honestly, the in-season tournament. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's some teams that want to win it, but if a player was questionable to play or not, my guess is a team would hold them out because the in-season tournament's not really a thing yet. This is the first year for it. So I don't think any of them are really truly worried about winning the first one. Maybe if this catches on and continues to be a thing, you know, they might be more interested in winning the in-season tournament, but I think people are the teams and players are more interested in the prize at the end of the year, you know, the NBA championship. So we'll see how that goes. The Warriors have had a rough go of it, though. I think that instead of trying to repair the relationship with Jordan Poole and keeping Draymond Green, I think that that's starting to be a bad decision for them because Draymond Green he's a good role player. He just makes dumb decisions. And so that came out again the other day, choking Rudy Gobert, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so some people are taking a side, going, oh, well, Rudy Gobert was coming at Klay Thompson. So regardless of if Rudy was kind of pushing Clay or whatever they were doing. Some people said they saw his hands around Clay's neck. I didn't see that in the replay. I just saw him had his hands on his arms. Regardless, like if you're going to try to help your teammate, like putting a guy in a straight up chokehold to choke him out is probably not the right decision. Maybe just inserting yourself in between them, kind of like AD and some of the other players were doing, but full out like choking a dude, that's not okay. They Draymond Green should be suspended for at least 10 games for that, in my opinion. Especially with his history. Like he has a history of getting suspended in technicals. Like he has a history of this shady, dirty plays. And anytime you have a history of being a dirty player and making dirty plays like this, like your suspension should get more and more as you go along, and that's just my personal opinion.
I mean, all these suspensions for Draymond Green, I get it. I just think that the Warriors should trade him. I mean, you got. I mean, he's got like 17 ejections in his career.
That's the problem. They're not going to trade him because they're all friends. The Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry. So if ownership asks Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, of course, their answer is going to be no. No, don't trade our friend. So that's when ownership needs to decide what's more important, keeping that friendship intact or winning championships.
I mean, it's just
because right now what they have isn't winning a championship.
Draymond Green's like the. I mean, you guys need to trade Draymond Green. That's got to be. I mean, he's got like 17 ejections in his career. 17.
I don't know if he has any value right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's not really that good of a player, actually.
Outside of Golden State, I don't think he has any value.
I feel like the only option would be to at least do something with Draymond Green. Trade him, release him, something.
Yeah.
Because you can't because a team can't have a player that's...
Well, he constantly sets you back. You know, you get technical fouls, so then the team gets to shoot free throws, then they get the ball back. If they're on a run, like that's debilitating to the rest of the team because, you know, that's a play that gives the other team more opportunities, you know, to score points or extend their lead. So at that point, you know, you got to be smart, and he's just not. He lets his emotions take over too much.
Yeah, he's not thinking before he
acts. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, he's not thinking before he does anything, and I mean, you can't just choke someone when he puts his hands on your teammate. I mean,
I get taken up for your teammate. Yeah. Like I'm all for that. It's been happening forever. Like I mean, everybody's gonna take up for their teammates. You know, I get it. I understand it. I don't have any issue with that. It's just that he has a history of going overboard with stuff like that. It's like you can't go overboard. Yeah. If we look at the rest of the West, the Nuggets are obviously in the West at 9-3, but right behind them is the Dallas Mavericks. Looks like Kyrie's fitting in awfully well on the Dallas now that he's had a year to kind of acclimate to the way that they play and playing next to Luka. So they are now 9-3, and they've got some pretty good wins already under their belt too. So Dallas is looking good, man.
I mean, I agree. I expected Kyrie to be a better player than last year in Dallas, but I did not expect the Mavericks to be second in the East and having a great start. I mean, I expected them to have a pretty good season, somewhere in that top 4, I'd say. But I mean, I didn't expect them to be right behind Denver. No, I really didn't expect that. That was kind of kind of surprise to me.
Minnesota Timberwolves 8-3. Looks like that Rudy Gobert trade is really paying off.
Yeah.
They're third in the Western Conference right now. We'll see if that continues to hold, but looking like a pretty good move for them.
Yeah, I think that was when they first traded for him. I think that was going to be a good move. Because it'd get all the pressure off of Karl Anthony Towns,
Mm-hmm.
and it really let him. It wouldn't let Karl Anthony Towns make all the decisions for the team because he was one of the only superstars on that team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that trade was good. A good trade for the Timberwolves, and I think he's fitting in really well.
So Anthony Edwards has actually turned into a star there in Minnesota also. Like, he's looking really good alongside Karl Anthony Towns. They kind of have two superstars. I think they're hoping that Rudy Gobert will turn into that third, superstar on that team, which right now it looks pretty good. 8-3.
Yep.
After that, you got the Thunder at 8-4, the Kings at 7-4, the Rockets at 6-4, Lakers at 7-6, Suns are 6-6, Pelicans are 6-6, and then the Warriors at 6-7. Let's talk about the Clippers. The Clippers made that big trade, and they are 4-7 currently.
I mean, you got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Westbrook and James Harden have some a pretty good connection because they played together before when they were with Oklahoma City. Yeah, I thought that the Clippers would have a pretty good start to the season, but I mean 4-7, not the best. They haven't been that good, That's kind of a surprise to me that the Clippers are 4-7 right now. I mean, I really didn't expect that. That was kind of a surprise to me because they're right now a great team. I think that Clippers might finish the season strong. I don't know.
I mean, it's early. Yeah. It's really early. I mean, they've only played 11 games, so it's 11 out of 82. It's early. They can always turn it around. It's way too early to count them out, but I'm just 4-7 surprises me as far as they go because you got Kawhi, Paul George, now you have James Harden, you got Russell Westbrook. Like that's interesting that they're 4-7 at this stage.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting to me. I mean, it really is.
It's almost like those guys aren't complimenting each other right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the East. You have the Celtics at 10-2. Looks like their moves are panning out for them and paying off for now. Then you have the Sixers at 9-3. They're looking really good. As a matter of fact, they look better now than they did with James Harden. So they might have just gotten better addition by subtraction, right? They get rid of James Harden, get some pretty good role players off the Clippers, and now they're looking pretty good on the season so far in the East. You got the Bucks at 8-4. I know Lillard's been in and out with injury. The Heat are 8-4. The Pacers are 7-4. Magic are 7-5. Knicks are 7-5. Cavaliers are 6-6. Nets are 6-6, and Hawks are 6-6. The surprise in this group to me is the Magic. The Orlando Magic actually look a lot better this year than they did last year. And they're actually winning some games this year that they didn't win last year. So they look like they've definitely gotten better.
I thought the Orlando Magic would have a better season this year than last year because I thought this year would be the year that they would be a better team and maybe make the playoffs. I knew this would happen. This is no surprise to me. I knew that the Orlando Magic would be have a pretty good start this year. I did expect this. This was no surprise to me.
Let's talk about Franz Wagner. So far this year, he's looked a lot better than he was good last year, but he's looked better, even better this year than he did last year. And right now, he's averaging 18.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.2 assists. But the last 4 games, he scored 20 points or more. So that's pretty significant for him. He's getting a lot better. He needs to work on his accuracy because his field goal percentage leaves something to be desired. But to be honest, all in all, like, he's playing really good. He's had some really good games. He's actually, in the last 4 or 5 games, he's outplayed Paolo Banchero, who was supposed to be the face and cornerstone of the team. So I think that's pretty significant right there.
Yeah, because against Milwaukee, he had 24 points, 50 percent with field goal percentage, 33.3% on 3-point, and 85.7% with percentage on free throws. 6 rebounds, 3 assists.
So don't get me wrong, Paolo Banchero is averaging 18.2 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, and 4.8 assists, which is also pretty stellar. Those two, both together, obviously the leaders of the team. Either one can have a big night at any given time. So they're definitely the top 2 superstars on that team.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think they are top 2 superstars on that team because they're both looking really good. And I think the Magic will have a pretty good season this year. You know, to the start to the season, they're looking pretty good.
They look like a playoff team right now, to be honest.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. They do look like a playoff team.
They're definitely not world beaters, and probably not a threat to make it to the finals, but they look like they're actually improving and are definitely a playoff team right as of right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really think that right now they look like a playoff team right now. I think they can make the playoffs this year. You know, just my opinion. I think they can make it.
Even if it's in the playing game, I agree. I think they can at least make that kind of appearance in the playoffs. They're definitely playing really good. They're playing better than the Hawks or the Bulls for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with you. No, I think I'm gonna have a good season this year.
I think so. The surprise to me is the Bucks. I know they're number 3 at 8-4, which is fine. You know, you don't have to. Regular season, you don't have to. It's early. You know, they've played 12 games. You know, you don't have to be destroying everybody already. I think that it's going to take some time for Lillard to fit into what they do. But honestly, I think come playoff time, barring any crazy injuries, I think people are going to have to watch out for the Bucks. And the thing that set for me, once they get it together, I think that's going to be different from the Celtics is that they play defense. And that's another thing me and you talked about the other day. We watched that Celtics-Sixers game where the Celtics won. But what I was telling you is I think that right now the Celtics are winning. But I think that the defensive players they let go are going to show up come playoff time. Because I think when they need to get stops, they're not going to be able to. Now, I could be wrong. The Celtics could prove me wrong. I still think they're definitely one of the better top 3 teams in the East, regardless of that. But I think that their defensive deficiency is really going to show up in the. I think it's going to show up in the playoffs, man. I really do.
Yeah. Drew Holiday trade. I thought this was gonna be. I thought this wasn't gonna really improve the Celtics. I thought this just gonna make them the same. But I mean, they're looking pretty good.
Yeah.
That 76ers game was a really good game, and I think that Celtics continue this streak. I think they'll make the NBA Finals.
As one of the top three teams, I think they definitely have an opportunity to. I still think that the Bucks are in the hunt for that one, and I think that the Heat are always, man, they're kind of like the Lakers on the other side. They struggle a bit during the regular season, but usually down the stretch they catch fire, they sneak their way in the playoffs, and then they just start beating everybody.
Yep.
So the Heat are always a threat.
They snuck their way, like last year. They snuck their way to the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
and they just kept beating teams, and they made it to the conference finals.
Yep.
They won it, but they lost the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm. So
they were seventh seed.
Well, even last year, they snuck their way in the playoffs, and then was it the Celtics they lost to in the conference finals?
No, they beat the Celtics 4-3 at conference finals.
Oh, that's right, they sure did. They lost to the Nuggets in the finals. That's right. You're right. I'm sorry. I was thinking the year before. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, that's kind of what the Heat do. So we'll see what happens this year. But yeah, I think you still got to keep the Heat in that conversation, and I think the Celtics, Sixers, and Bucks all have an opportunity to make the finals this year if they continue to play the way they're playing.
Yeah, I agree with you. Top three teams really they're looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if the Celtics continue to play very great basketball, and I think that the Celtics might capture that number one seed in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're looking really good this year. So Celtics keep rolling. They're probably gonna get that. They're probably gonna be the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's been troubling the Bucks is Damian Lillard's health.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Lillard hasn't played much with the Bucks because of injuries, and I think that's kind of what I think that's kind of what's affecting Milwaukee right now.
Probably so. I know he does. He hasn't. He's in and out, but honestly, they could probably win games without him in the regular season. Where they really need him is in the playoffs for sure, because obviously he'll take some pressure off of Giannis and Chris Middleton by hitting some big time shots. He's proven since he's come into the league in his career that he can hit big time shots, and that's what they traded for him for. They hit big time shots in the playoffs.
Yep, that's true.
So for me, that for the Bucks, that's where his value comes in. And when the Bucks get in the playoffs, like that's when they need Dame time, right? Because that's what's going to take the pressure off of everybody else is if he shows up in the playoffs. Regular season, they can win enough games to get in the playoffs, whether he's in the lineup or not. Playoffs is where they really want him.
Yeah.
That's the money maker right there. That's where they want him to come up big, just to help out, Giannis and Chris Middleton. So for me, that's where he's going to make his money, is when they get in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. Well, that's all I got for today. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover for today, or talk about, or any stories out there you want to talk about?
No, nothing else.
All right. We thank you guys for listening. Don't forget, if you don't listen to podcasts, please, or your friends and family don't listen to podcasts, please send them over to our YouTube channel. Same name, Common Man's Take on Sports, and we post every show on YouTube as well. We thank you for your listening. We hope you continue to listen. Have a good night.